From Brie to burrata, cheese feels like one of the safest things in your fridge, but the official record tells a different story. In the last few years, Australian recall notices have repeatedly flagged ready-to-eat soft cheeses for microbial contamination like Listeria. And when you combine that with how Listeria can survive and even multiply at fridge temperatures, it explains why the same cheese styles keep showing up in recalls, especially products you eat cold, straight from the pack. So today we're counting down 8 cheese brands and products sold in Australia that you should avoid, based on documented recall alerts and enforcement actions. And at the end, we'll share 4 better picks and a simple cheese checklist you can use in any supermarket aisle. Let's start at number 8. Number 8, Westrea and Mille Parmesan style labelling case. This one is a little different. It's not a pathogen recall, it's a labelling enforcement case. And it's still one of the clearest reminders that cheese labels are not always what they look like. The ACCC announced federal court orders by consent against Australian Cooperative Foods Limited, trading as dairy farmers, over misleading conduct and false representations on certain cheese products. The ACCC said the company sold Romano-style cheese, packaged and labelled as Parmesan-style cheese, and the affected brands were Mille and Westrea. The ACCC also said some purchasers received cheese with different nutritional attributes than what the packaging claimed, including sodium differences mentioned in the release. Why does this matter for you today? Because Parmesan style, Italian style, cheese blend, and similar terms still pop up in grated tubs and food service packs. That doesn't automatically mean a product is bad, but it's a warning sign that you need to read deeper. Here's the quick practical takeaway. If you're buying grated Parmesan style, look for a clear description of what it actually is, a simple ingredient list, and realistic nutrition numbers. If it leans on words like authentic while staying vague about the cheese type, that's a product to put back. And now that we've started with a deception case, let's move into the health side, where the risks can be more serious. Number 7. Long paddock cheese, Driftwood. If you've ever tried artisan Australian cheese, you've probably seen long paddock mentioned. The issue here is a specific product and a specific documented hazard. A food recall notice, hosted on the Australian Food Recall System, lists long paddock cheese company's Driftwood under a recall involving sugar toxin producing E. coli, STEC. STEC is a big deal because it's not just a mild stomach bug category of contamination, it's one of the pathogens Australian food authorities treat seriously. Why this matters in real life is simple. Cheeses you eat cold give you no kill step. If you're not cooking it, you're relying entirely on the product's safety controls and cold chain. If you still want to enjoy that style of cheese, here's how to reduce risk without killing the vibe of your platter. Buy from high turnover retailers where the fridge is genuinely cold. Prefer sealed, pre-packed products over deli-cut pieces if you're serving vulnerable people. Keep it cold on the way home and don't leave it out for long. Also, if someone in your household is pregnant, elderly, or immunocompromised, we'll be blunt. Your safest move is to avoid higher risk cheeses altogether. Victorian health guidance lists soft cheeses as high risk for at-risk groups and reminds that Listeria can keep multiplying under refrigeration if conditions allow. Number 6. That's Amore cheese, selected soft cheese products. That's Amore is popular and it's stocked widely, which is exactly why this one matters. The problem is not cheese is bad. The problem is that official recall alerts have flagged specific That's Amore products for microbiological contamination, including Listeria monocytogenes, in a way that fits a pattern we see again and again. Soft, moist, ready-to-eat cheeses. When Listeria is involved, the consequences can be severe for vulnerable groups. Victorian health information spells out who's most at risk and lists soft cheeses like Brie, Camembert, ricotta, blue vein, and feta as foods at-risk groups should avoid. It also notes a key point many people miss. Listeria can multiply at fridge temperatures. But it was refrigerated is not a safety guarantee. So why put That's Amore on an avoid list? Because once a brand has a documented recall history in this category, it's a sensible consumer move to be stricter with that brand's ready-to-eat soft cheeses, at least until you're confident about their corrective actions and ongoing controls. What to do instead if you love the style? If you're buying burrata style or other high moisture cheeses, buy only what you'll use immediately. Keep your fridge below 5 degrees Celsius. If you're serving pregnant guests, swap to hard cheese options instead. Number 5. Aldi, Emporium Selection French Brie, 125 grams. Now we're into the cluster that really shook a lot of shoppers because it hit a mainstream retailer and 2 different house labels. In August 2025, FSANZ social media recall alerts stated that Aldi recalled Emporium Selection French Brie 125 grams due to microbial contamination, Listeria monocytogenes. This is exactly the kind of product many people eat without cooking. Open the pack, slice it, done. Here's what makes this especially important. It's a soft cheese. It's ready to eat. It's often served to groups, which increases the risk if it's contaminated. And here's the part most people don't realise until it's spelled out. Listeria is not like most bacteria. Victorian health guidance explains that it can persist in cold environments and that long shelf life refrigerated foods that you eat without reheating are a classic risk category. Practical consumer rule. If you're buying Brie, buy it like you buy seafood. Trust the cold chain. Keep it cold, eat it quickly. And if there's a recall, don't smell test it. Follow the recall instructions. Number 4. Aldi, Specially Selected French Loval Cheese 300 grams. Same recall window, same hazard, different label. FSANZ recall alerts also stated Aldi recalled Specially Selected French Loval Cheese 300 grams due to Listeria monocytogenes. Different product format, same underlying risk profile. Soft cheese, ready to eat. So why list both Aldi lines separately? Because shoppers often treat house brand like it's one product. But the reality is, each product line can have different suppliers, different plants, and different control systems. Here's how to shop smarter going forward. Check the label for the manufacturer and country of origin. Prefer products with clear batch information and traceability. If you're buying for vulnerable people, skip soft cheeses entirely and choose hard cheeses. And if you're thinking, wait, is cheese really that risky? The answer is, not most cheese, most of the time. The risk spikes for specific styles, especially soft cheeses, and official health guidance in Victoria and New South Wales highlights that clearly for at-risk groups. Number 3. Mborg, Selected Pasteurised Soft Cheese Range. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because it's not just one retailer, and it's not just one label. FSANZ recall alerts published in August 2025 list Mborg pasteurised soft cheese products recalled due to Listeria monocytogenes. When you see the same hazard across multiple brands in the same time period, it points to a broader supply chain issue, not just one bad batch. In isolation. Why it matters to you. Even pasteurized does not automatically mean risk-free once a product is made and packaged. Post-processing contamination is a known food safety issue, especially for ready-to-eat chilled foods. Soft cheeses have higher moisture and are often eaten without heating, which removes your safety buffer. This is one of those moments where the cheap fix actually helps. If you love cheese boards, shift your default board away from Brie-style cheeses and toward hard cheeses, aged cheddar, Gouda style, and properly stored firm cheeses. The eating experience is still great, and the risk profile is generally lower, especially for vulnerable groups. And yes, we'll give specific better picks later. Number 2, Monomy, selected pasteurized soft cheese range. Monomy appears in the same FSANZ recall cluster, again in August 2025, again for Listeria monocytogenes, in pasteurized soft cheese products. This is exactly why we don't want you to judge cheese by price or premium vibes. Imported soft cheeses, artisanal soft cheeses, supermarket soft cheeses, it doesn't matter. If the product is moist, chilled, and eaten without reheating, it's the risk category that keeps getting hit. Quick reality check for your fridge. If you're holding soft cheese for days because it's fine, it's sealed, remember that the Victorian health guidance literally warns about refrigerated foods, long shelf life, and foods eaten without further treatment. Here's a practical compromise if you love these cheeses. Buy smaller packs and eat them quickly. Keep the cheese in the coldest part of the fridge, not the door. Don't cross-contaminate with deli meats, raw meat packaging, or unwashed produce. And now, the one that was in multiple recall alerts under different importers, which is a huge red flag for consumers because it becomes hard to track what exactly you're buying. Quick pause. If you're finding this research valuable and you're still with us, drop a comment with the number 2 so we know you're here. And if this is your first time watching, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. It really helps us continue creating well-researched, fact-checked content like this. Alright, let's get back to it. Number 1, Bouche Belle du Bocage, multiple recall listings through different distributors. This one lands at number 1 because it shows how messy recalls can get for everyday shoppers. In the August 2025 recall listings, FSANZ published recall alerts for Bouche Belle du Bocage, tied to Listeria monocytogenes, and the product appears under different distributor names, including K-Sign and Washed Rind Proticreti Limited in separate recall entries. Why does that matter? Because a lot of people don't shop by distributor. You shop by what the cheese looks like on the shelf. So you might see the same cheese name in a different store and assume it's unrelated. This is the single biggest consumer trap in cheese recalls. Same product name, different store, different distributor on the label. You assume it's not the same recall story. So here's the move that actually protects you. When a recall happens, don't just search the brand name once and stop. Search the exact product name, the distributor, and the style. If you're unsure, skip it. No cheese is worth gambling your health. Also, don't treat pasteurized as a magic word. Pasteurization helps, but contamination can happen after pasteurization, during processing, packaging, or handling. That's why these recall notices matter. Now, we've covered the avoids. Let's switch gears and talk about 4 better picks, and we'll keep it practical. These aren't perfect angel brands. These are choices that fit lower risk categories and tend to be easier to store safely at home. Better picks. 4 cheese options that are usually safer choices. Before we name anything, here's the principle Australian health guidance supports. Soft cheeses are high risk for Listeria for at-risk people, while hard cheeses are generally a safer category because they're lower moisture and not the classic Listeria growth environment. So the better picks are mostly going to be hard, sealed, pasteurized cheeses, ideally in blocks. Better pick 1, Bega, Tasty, or Vintage block cheese. This is a simple one. A sealed block of hard cheese is easier to keep clean, easier to portion without contaminating the whole product, and usually has a shorter, open life problem than soft cheeses that people keep dipping into. How to shop it. Buy the block. Grate it yourself. Store it sealed and don't leave it sweating on the bench. Better pick 2, mainland, epicure, or vintage cheddar styles. Same logic. Hard, aged styles, sealed packaging, predictable storage. These are the kinds of cheeses that work for lunches, cooking, and boards, without sitting in the highest risk category. Pro tip: if the board is for a party, build it around hard cheeses, toasted nuts, fruit, and crackers. You still get the experience without making Brie the centerpiece. Better pick 3, Mersey Valley Vintage Cheddar. Aged cheddar styles generally sit in that lower moisture firm category. That doesn't mean nothing can ever go wrong, but it's a smarter default than soft cheeses, especially if you're feeding kids, older relatives, or anyone pregnant. Better pick 4, Baramba Organics cheddar styles, where available. If you want a cleaner label style, look for hard cheeses with short ingredient lists: milk, salt, cultures, rennet. Whether it's organic or not, the key is the style and handling. Now, to make this even more useful, here's a fast checklist you can use every time you buy cheese. The 60-second Cheese Safety and Value Checklist. 1. If someone in your household is pregnant or immunocompromised, skip soft cheeses. Victorian health guidance explicitly lists soft cheeses as high risk for Listeria. 2. Prefer hard cheeses in sealed blocks over deli cut pieces. 3. Keep your fridge below 5 degrees Celsius. 4. Treat use by as a hard line for ready-to-eat chilled foods. 5. Don't rely on smell or taste to detect pathogens. Listeria doesn't announce itself. 6. Buy smaller packs of soft cheeses if you still choose to buy them, and eat them quickly. 7. Keep cheese away from raw meat packaging in the fridge and store it sealed. 8. Use clean knives and boards, and don't double dip serving utensils at parties. 9. When a recall happens, search product name plus distributor, not just the brand. 10. If a label is vague about what the cheese actually is, or the nutrition claims don't match the style, treat that as a value red flag. So there you have it. 8 cheese brands and products you should probably avoid, and 4 better picks that fit a safer, more practical shopping strategy. Look, companies count on us not checking recall notices and not reading enforcement actions. But now you know what the official record shows, and you can shop in a way that protects your health, your family, and your wallet. Have you bought any of the cheeses we mentioned, or been caught by a recall before? What happened? Drop it in the comments. And if there's another Aussie grocery category you want us to investigate next, tell us what it is. If you found this helpful, hit like. It tells YouTube to share this video with more people who need it. Subscribe for more evidence-based consumer guides, and we'll see you in the next one. Shop smart with the facts.